going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris, coming at you for another Deerfish gaming video, and today I'm really excited to bring you my Ranger build update. Okay, I have unlocked my third Ascension, and I have had a lot of fun. I mean, I am not gonna lie, I got really frustrated in the process of unlocking my third Ascension. That was definitely a process, learning the trial, the Sekimas, and I don't know, and just being perfect all the way through all the 3 floors. But yeah, I am going to give you the skill gem update with the support gems. I'm going to give you the passive tree update. I went in a different direction, I think, than maybe most people are going with the Ranger. But I really like what I'm doing, and I think if they decide to nerf this crazy infinite ball lightning chain that they have at the end, I think my version of it will still be, I think, the same DPS. I don't really see how it changes because I didn't really spec into heavy lightning damage. I went from, well, you'll see. I went for more like attack damage. And then I'm going to go over the gear that I have. And then finally, I'm going to cover the tips for the Trial of the Sekimas, what relics I used, and then of course, like the tips of getting through the floors that I did that helped me complete my journey of the third Ascension. So let's get into that right now. We got lightning rods for people like you. Let's get it on. Oh yeah, this. And just like that, she gone. Okay, so for my skills, if you watched my earlier videos, I wasn't necessarily leaning too heavy into the lightning arrow. I mean, it was I was leaning more into the bow shot, I guess. The lightning arrow was, of course, still the main source of damage, but for whatever reason, how I was specing my bow shot, it was just it seemed like it was doing a little bit more DPS to single targets. Well, that is no longer the case. I have kind of changed everything. Bowshot still does great. So when you get your mana siphon, this still works great. You know, so we got that 15k damage. So let's check out these support gems. I got cold infusion. I decided to throw cold damage on here because I personally will still use the freezing salvo if needed. Now, I granted, much less so now. The damage that we put out with just the lightning arrow and then the lightning rod by themselves is absurd. Okay, so not really needing to freeze people too much. But if I do need to get in a freezy situation where I need to be Mr. Freeze, I will freeze yo ass up. Okay, so cold infusion I think is still pretty good. And I got Life Thief on here, so, you know, if I need to maybe leech some life up, you know, I will go ahead and do that with the bow shot as well. Then Splinter, so I break the armor with the bow shot. So, you know, just kind of, if I do end up having to use this, I can use this to get my mana back, break the armor, and then switch back to the lightning arrow to decimate the opponent before they drain all my mana once again. And I use Fork here to make sure that this bitch goes everywhere. And I really like this Fork. There's a node in the passive tree that I've been looking at to take for forking, but this is the only forking skill. So I don't know. And maybe if I switch over to like the ice build, I was thinking about maybe switching over to the ice build and trying that out because I see ice shot is really fun. But we'll see. I'm thinking about going monk next, but I don't know. We'll see what's going on for me after this video. Lighting arrow, I have, you know, qualityed it as much as I can. You know, put the damage all the way up. Lightning infusion, pretty standard, I think. Heft, 30% more maximum physical damage. You know, you want to do more physical damage because that way this will get more damage with the lightning infusion. Of course, martial tempo, for the 25% more attack speed, and then the primal armament for deal 25% more weapon elemental damage. We're trying to just boost that elemental damage all the way through the roof. Then I got rain of arrows here. We got calling strike. You know, I like to use my raining arrows to kind of finish off some enemies if needed. Supported attacks always maim on hit with this one. And then the soul drain, recover 12% of mana over 4 seconds when supported skills call an enemy. So this one is really just kind of there. I have used it less and less and less. However, it still does work good in a pinch. It's an area of effect skill. But again, like I've said, the lightning arrow damage is insane. You know, I could have honestly not covered this skill at all, and you would have never noticed. So now we got the lightning rod. I got conduction on the lightning rod, 100% more chance to shock. You really want this on here. I had this on the lightning arrow at first, and I just realized it was much better on the lightning rod. I was just, you watch my earlier videos, I was just kind of almost not using lightning rod that much. It wasn't until I started getting into the later levels of maps where I was like, okay, this lightning rod really needs to come into play against bosses and like really some difficult rares and stuff like that. So I also put magnified effect, so for 40% more area of effect, because that was just, you just really get that area effect out there, hit everybody. I probably need to switch that, to be honest with you, now that I think about it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna, well, I don't know, you want to hit everybody. See, I'm still kind of playing around with everything. Maybe you might do this one instead. Shazam, throw that on there. And but we see how much more damage it is. So yeah, actually do that. Put concentrated effect on here, not magnified effect. The magnified effect worked fine, as you saw. That's what I had in the clip at the beginning. But the lightning rod will do definitely way more damage. And then overcharge, 75% increased magnitude of shocks inflicted with supported skills, 50% less shock duration. That's okay. We're proccing shock over and 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 over again. Not a big deal. Soul Thief on Herald of Thunder. Leech, 5% physical attack damage from supported skills as mana. Lightning Penetration on Herald of Thunder. And then Blind, supported skills have 100% chance to blind enemies on hit. So I like this to just blind. I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring out how to get this DPS through the roof on the Lightning Herald. But I think this is just kind of, I like this is where it's at right now, to be honest. It's working great for me. It helps keep my mana up, and then, you know, it penetrates that lightning resistance and it blinds them folks. So now, before I get into the cast on shock, I want to preface this. I purposely did not really have cast on shock on my build for a very long time. Okay, I actually beat the trial of the Sekimas without cast on shock. Full transparency, I did not even use cast on shock or orb of storms. I just used basically everything else on this list: freezing salvo, escape shot, lightning arrow, lightning rod, and then, you know, the bow shot. Those skills alone got me through it fine. However, if you are able to get good items with some extra int and gets, you know, and also with this pathing that I have, I think you can get the cast on shock a little bit earlier than I did, and you'll be able to beat the trial of Sekimas much easier than I did as well, because there is no doubt that this does improve the DPS a large amount, especially for the bossing, because especially the third boss for the Ascension can be a bitch for the Rangers if you're not really take it out fast because of the quicksand and stuff. But it's a I don't know. I really enjoyed the build before cast on shock is basically what I'm trying to say, but after cast on shock is clearly a lot better. Okay, so we got cast on shock. All right, so you need the 95 intelligence. So we'll get there in the passive tree, and then the gear. I'll show you how I got there. Ball lightning. We're just using this to proc the lightning rods and the shocks. So this isn't that big of a deal for the damage on this. The impetus for 40% increased energy, and then energy retention. So have 35% chance to refund half of the energy cost. So I need a greater, I need like a greater jeweler's orb to put on here and put deceleration. If you're watching this like pre me, like, oh, okay, I had a third greater jeweler's orb, but as you can see, I put it down there on the freezing salvo because that's what I was using more at the time. I will go ahead and advise that, like, if you have the capability of getting the cast on shock, put the cast on shock with the greater jewelers, or the greater jewelers orb on the cast on shock, so that you can put deceleration on here, because that will improve the DPS for this just massively. Okay, and as you can see, I'm still getting it. I'm still trying to get the hang of it, because your lightning rods proc so much they disappear sometimes while you're just throwing out your lightning arrows. So I have to remember to keep throwing out more lightning rods. It's the build is so strong and so fast, and once you get it down, just the health bars just go down faster and faster, as you saw. Now, the Orb of Storms is kind of like, it's a stationary lightning ball, and it just will proc the lightning rods over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's for like stationary bosses. If you have a boss that's kind of real movie, I wouldn't worry about it. But I have coursing current here, 50% chance to also shock me enemies in a 2.5 meter radius. I honestly, I don't know, I was just running out of ideas and out of things to put, so I put that there. You're really only using this on single target, so I probably would choose a different support gem skill for that, to be honest. But it does work if you do want to use this in like an AoE mob type of a setting. You can do that as well. Lightning exposure to put the lightning exposure on. So if I do use this, puts the lightning exposure on the enemy, and then with the lightning rods procs the shock, and just boom boom back and forth. Get that really circle of damage going well. And yeah, and then we got persistent support skills of 40% more skill effect duration, so this thing lasts even longer. So it originally says it lasts 10 seconds, now it's going to last 14 seconds. It's a pretty big deal, I think. So 4 seconds is, that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage can happen in 4 seconds. Now, Freezing Salvo, I still really, really like Freezing Salvo. It saved my butt early game and mid game, all the way through the campaign. And if somebody got right up in my face. So, I don't want to sleep on this. I upgraded it with my Greater Jeweler's Orb for a reason. We got the magnified effect. I had the other one on here. I had the, as you saw, the concentrated effect. I think once you get the cast on shock going, the magnified effect definitely can come over here. And then I got Hourglass on here. It's just a no-brainer here. It's just like always, the supported skills have 10 plus cooldown. Well, you want to get at least 10 arrows anyway for the 40% more damage. So it's all good. Rising Tempest, supported skills deal 12% more elemental damage for each skill used recently of a different elemental type. So I originally was looking over this, but I do cold damage, I do lightning damage, and then I do a little bit of fire damage, I think, within maybe not anymore, but depending on what you have on your gloves or your weapon or your quiver, you might be doing fire damage also. So I wouldn't sleep on this. This actually works out really well, I think. And then Acceleration, supported skills of 40% more projectile speed. That goes with a note on the passive skill tree, and then also makes this just go mega fast, so you don't have to sit there and wait. It just goes right there real quick. And then we got Escape Shot. To be honest with you, this has really fallen off completely. The better move speed boots you get. I got 30% move speed boots now, and I essentially never have to use this. But if you do not have the 30% move speed boots, this does come in handy. So I don't know. I wouldn't say to take it off. I got the close combat on here, so most of the time you are pretty close to people you're trying to get away if you're using this skill. So it just gets more attack damage with them being closer to you. Then the Frost Nexus, create chilled ground for 4 seconds when you freeze an enemy. Most of the time you do freeze an enemy when you're using this, because it's like white mobs. So then you create more chilled area, slows them down, allows you to get further away and kite. I really like that. And then the Inevitable Critical, support skills gain 25% in critical chance each second. So this is pretty much always going to be doing 100% crit. I honestly just threw this on here because I couldn't really figure out anything else to put on here that I thought that would be useful. And then my final skill slot is empty because there's no need for me to clutter and say extra crap if there is no need to. In this escape shot and freezing salvo, you know, you could almost argue that I never use these anymore also. But like if you don't have the cast on shock and the Orbif, like if you don't have this set up right here, then you can still use these and just be perfectly fine. Though again, what I'm about to get into with my passive skill tree, I've done it specifically so I'm not leaning like 100% into the cast on shock, because that's not necessarily what I did for my 3rd Ascension. It may be what I do after this video going forward to get my 4th Ascension, if I decide to do that instead of doing another character. But for what I was doing right now, I wasn't leaning heavy into only lightning damage. I did kind of like a more specking into attack damage and physical damage. I didn't try to go get like the lightning rod passive skill node. So let's talk about this. Okay, now obviously I did not have Tailwind before I got my my 3rd Ascension. If you watched any of my other videos, I chose to get the extra projectile first. Was that a mistake? To be honest, I think probably the Tailwind is better. Okay, the extra projectile was really nice. Basically having scatter shot on everything from like this, from the 2nd Ascension going forward. And you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I did make the right decision. But Tailwind was really, really, really good. Is really good. I mean, it's really good. So, yeah, I don't know. I still stand by my decision. I really enjoyed having the 3 projectiles. But, you know, again, if you just want to go here with the point blank and then getting the gathering winds, you know, I think that is perfectly fine. So I saw tunnel vision for this 3rd projectile, and with the plus the dual string bow, you know, you get the 3rd projectile, and I was like, I need that. So I get tunnel vision sometimes. So we got the normal stuff, right? You know, we took all the projectile damage up here. We still got the quiver effect right here. Nothing changed there. Go all the way up here, of course, and we branched off here for the increased elemental damage with attacks, right? Okay, and then 5% of physical damage from hits taken as damage of a random element. So this is a really, really good just little 3-piece right here. So if you know, if maybe you want to get to something like, and that'll be a huge damage increase, but like the nodes to get to that specific node aren't that great, this is something that I would recommend using as like a little damage, as like a placeholder for a good little 44% increase in elemental damage with attacks. So then we come up, of course, here and we can get all the attack damage we can, with the move speed. I have this jewel here, 2% increased attack speed, 9% increased attack damage, 13% increased elemental damage, and then 11% increased duration of damaging elements on enemies. This is a pretty darn good gem, and yeah, so it's my best gem I have on here. I think my other 2 gems have just like maybe 1 stat that helps me out. I really, really got lucky with this gem. Hopefully you guys can get lucky with some gems too. And then of course we got this bow up here. Now I took Pierce the Heart because I want to pierce an additional target, and I took off this sniper just because I was doing the math and I didn't have that much crit chance. So I think originally I read this as you get up to I don't know, like it's increased. I don't know. I think this increases your already critical hit chance. It doesn't increase your critical hit chance up to 60. It just like if you have 5% crit chance, it increases it by 60%. So I definitely just like misread that, I think, and I thought it was way better than it is. And yeah, and I unspec'd it and I haven't noticed not one thing. But so we got this Pierce the Heart, all the bow damage right here, the feathered fletchling, and then of course we still have split off down here. We got this ruby here. This is the other one. See, 15 increased global physical damage, and then the rest of this crap, like I don't do totem placement, I don't have bleed, and I don't do rage. So this is just for the global physical damage. I have not, that was like my only good gem that has like everything for. So the other thing that changed right here, you know, we still have these 2 increased projectile damage, but we added the pierce an enemy. 15% chance to pierce an enemy, 50% chance to pierce an enemy. And with this and our quiver and the bonuses to our quiver, we will have 100% chance, I believe is what we have for piercing. So we always pierce. And then we got our increased attack speed with the dexterity right here. You know, that's very beautiful. Don't forget that. Nothing has really changed, you know, for like that core early mid. It's is really a lot of the changes have been made like post campaign, and I haven't really, you know, done anything with a video on that, I don't think. So 30% increased evasion rating, 8% increased dexterity, really good right here. Then you get your bestial skin for your 100% increased evasion rating from equipped body armor. And then we just get the increased evasion rating. I am not getting acrobatics just because I do not have enough evasion to justify getting acrobatics. But if I had a higher evasion rating, I would definitely recommend getting acrobatics. I just don't have a lot of currency. I can't go buy something from the trade shop right now. Otherwise I would, and I haven't got a good drop with better evasion rating than what I currently have right now. And I haven't slammed anything good, so that is what it is. And then we've come up here for Herald damage. 12% increased damage while affected by our Herald 2 times. This is really, really good. We have Herald of Lightning. Therefore, we're getting 24% increased damage overall. Very, very good. So, here is where things change, alright? I have branched off here. Dexterity, right? And we'll come up here for the 10% increased attack damage, and then a 24% increased attack damage over here. 10% chance to blind enemies on hit with attacks. Really, really good with that blind hit, but really that 44% increased attack damage. Very, very good. Okay, and then we come up here, and these are kind of filler right here just because I needed the intelligence and the dexterity. Once I kind of figure out where I want to go next, and honestly, I need this intelligence. I can't lose this intelligence. So once I figure out where I'm going next, maybe get a couple of extra skill points, I'll figure out where I'm going next. But right now, I don't really kind of know where I'm going to go from here exactly. But these are just kind of filler points for the extra intelligence that I needed. And you know, intelligence here we path up here. Here is my third skill gem, is 6% increased projectile damage, 4% increased attack speed with crossbows. We're not using that. 16% increased damage while you have an active charm. Mwah! Like that. 11% increased crossbow reload speed. Okay. Now, I do love the active charm, but charm isn't always active, right? It only activates when you get hit by, you know, depending on which one you use. I typically always have the chaos one. And so, and that only, I don't know. I forget how long it lasts. But it's good, but it's not as good as the first gem that I showed you guys. So then we go up here for 10% increased physical damage. And then we got 5% increased crit chance, 8% increased physical damage, more physical damage, and then right here is 20% increased critical damage bonus, 20% increased knockback distance. That's not for us, but 20% increased physical damage. I like that. Okay, I like that. And then we got this increased projectile damage right here, more there. Then we got here more movement speed, more projectile speed, and projectile damage. But you pair it with the node over here that we get that you cannot not have. The feather fletching increases reduction to projectile speed, also apply to damage with bows, and that node gives us a plus 30% damage to our projectiles. So I mean, it's just, this one is just too good, Kite Runner, and you get the movement speed, and then we get more projectile speed right here. Okay, and so then we come up here and we go for this right here, the 10% increased attack damage, the 10% increased attack damage, and then the 30% increased attack damage when at full life, and 50% increased attack damage when on low life. So this is just huge. I mean, you're very rarely on low life, but still 30% increased attack damage is massive. And you know, if you do find yourself on low life in a clutch situation, you'll be getting an extra 20% boost on top of that. Okay, and then you could come up here, get this 3% increased attack speed, 4% increased attack speed, and then 6% increased attack speed if you've been hit recently. So, you know, just really, really helps if you do get hit. You can get that a nice little boost and just really get that damage going. And then up here, we got 10% increased physical damage, 10% increased physical damage, 10% increased physical damage, and break 30% increased armor on enemies affected by ailments, plus 10 to strength, and plus 25% increased physical damage. So as you see, this works well with our bow shot. You know, if we need to, we can alternate. We can like hit the lightning arrow a few times, shock them up, switch over to the bow shot for a couple of pew pews, and then break their armor pretty good like, and then switch back over to the lightning arrow, finish them off. Don't really need that, but I don't know, just the possibilities are there. So I'm just explaining my thought process around that. We're not doing any date. Now, with the gear, I did buy this bow for off the trade site. I think I got it for like 1 divine. I had a divine, and it is a huge damage increase for me. I think it was like literally a double damage increase. And it is magnificent. This is what you're looking for. You're looking for a dual string bow with the most increased physical damage that you can afford. This one, well, you know, is corrupted, so I can't do anything extra to it, but that's fine. I just kind of got this as let me start level 78. I got this as soon as I hit level 78, and I've been rocking and rolling, as you guys have seen. And then the other thing that I bought was this primed quiver. Now, I think this is probably like the best quiver you can get. Maybe the adds 2 to 8 physical damage to attacks could be like a different modifier, but other than that, this is pretty much every other thing that you would want. Oh, and maybe the critical damage isn't necessary, but other than that, like, it has the 4 main pieces that you want on here. You know, you got the increased attack speed, or I guess 5. You got the increased attack speed, the increased damage with bow skills, 22% increased projectile speed, and plus 30 dexterity, which helps with being able to put on your bow in the first place, and then the 14% chance to pierce an enemy. So, now, without saving you some time, going over to the passive skill tree again and looking at the quiver bonuses from that little quiver circle right there, you get 80% bonus. Okay, so let's just go with the 80% bonus. Let's just add all this up. So, you know, let's just round up. So 22% projectile speed and 58 increased damage. We get increased damage with projectile speed. So that goes up to what? So that's 70, 80. So that goes up to 80%, right? And then that is 80% of 80% is what, 60? So that's 140% damage increase with bow damage. You know, projectile bow damage, you know, same shit, we're using a bow. From those 2 modifiers right there with that feathered fletchling passive node, right? And then with the 14% chance to pierce, 80% of 14, I mean, what is that? It's like 8, and somewhere between like 8 and 10, something like that. So it's 20%. So we don't quite have 100%, but we have, you know, somewhere around 80% chance to pierce, and I think that is really, really good. So no need to have that pierce support gem anymore. That's why you're not seeing it as a support gem any longer. And now the rest is pretty much about getting the move speed on your boots, getting the evasion on your coat, and then finishing off the resistances and getting rarity where you can get it. And let's get into that right now. You know, you got 14% increased rarity, and then you got a little bit of lightning resistance, and then, you know, I got a fire resistance rune. To be honest with you, I don't if I could change this rune, I would, because I could put on a different ring, and I don't know, like, if we could change the runes, my runes would be completely different, and I'd be wearing like 2 different rings and a different amulet. But because you can't change the runes, and you can't lose resistances once you get into, like, I'm like tier 10 maps, moving up into tier 11, like, you can't change your resistances. You have to have high resistances. And so, you know, you're just looking for the 30% increased evasion rating, the rarity of items found. Until that gets nerfed, you need to have that. And then, you know, getting a little bit of intelligence and dexterity. Never hurt anybody to get your cast on shock going, okay? Now we got on the coat. This is the biggest item. If you were like, Chris, I only have enough to buy 3 pieces of gear. What 3 pieces of gear should I buy? You're going to buy the bow, the quiver, and you're going to buy the coat, okay? You're going to buy an evasion body armor, all right? You know, I got 1333 evasion, and this is a level 62. This isn't even like a level 78, like a next tier up item. So, like, you know, This one wouldn't even really cost you that much. You can get an advanced serpent scale coat for not that expensive, okay? But you see, it's got 1330. I got the 20%, and double this is what, 2,666 evasion. So just really, really good. All the other modifiers on this are garbage, but the increased evasion and the lightning resistance are good. So that's why we have that. Now, other than that, this is not that great. You see, I don't have like a perfect build or anything, and I'm doing really good damage. And then, here we just got the increased rarity of items found, the fire resistance, the physical attack damage to life, and the cold attacks. That's really cool. And then the maximum mana is really, really helpful also. And then on the boots, like I said before, the 30% increased movement speed. This actually has a pretty good evasion rating for boots. More mana, more rarity of items, and then chaos resistance. Oh, baby, 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 okay? Now, the boots I was using before this, I traded, like, they didn't have any move speed boots, but they had, like, stacked elemental resistance. It was cool. They just didn't have chaos. But when I got these 30% increased movement speed and chaos, oh, buddy, you get chaos resistance wherever you can, because that is, like, the only thing that really gets me now is a random little one-shot from some chaos damage. Or if a rare has extra chaos damage as a modifier, I'm like, oh, fuck, I gotta be perfect around you, because all you gotta do is tickle me and I'm dead. And then we got the heavy belt. We got 100% maximum life, plus 12% cold resistance, and plus 30% lightning resistance, and the maximum mana. Those are the stats I looked for on here. You also want to get rarity of items found on this if you can. I just don't have it. And then, so this prismatic ring is really, really good. Plus 10 elemental resistance to all elemental resistances. I got more life, more mana, more intelligence, and more cold resistance. So just really, really getting it. You can see the goal here. The resistances, mana, life, and then, get those stats that you need to build up your build, to get your build online. I don't really care about the accuracy rating that much. We got rarity of items found, 28% increased mana regen, 15% increased cast speed, and this is the 8% chaos resistance. That's right, I am wearing this solely for the 8% chaos resistance. I have other rings. I have this ring down here, 18% chaos resistance, 24% mana regen, 14% increased cast speed. This one's arguably better, but it doesn't have chaos resistance, and I need more. And then here, I have another prismatic ring that's really good too. But you know what? If I wore both these prismatic rings, everything would, for me, I think, would be at 75%, but chaos resistance. My chaos resistance would be at like 19%. And so that is the struggle. The struggle is real. Chaos gang, we're gonna get through it. That's why I recommend you have a chaos charm on you at all times, and just keep whatever resistances you need for your gear. And right here in like a little corner, it only takes a few things. Just get what you're lacking, what you die to a lot. Just make sure you have something there for if you have to get some bad modifiers on the map, you can save yourself. And then the very, very last thing is the amulet. I don't need this plus 15 to spirit, to be honest. But if I got another amulet that had the lightning resistance and the cold resistance, because that is why I'm still wearing this specific amulet, is for the lightning and cold resistance, and maybe say I got another spirit one and it had another spirit roll, I would put the Wind Dancer skill back on my skill tree. But right now I only have floating 25 spirits, so I can't do that. So yeah, I mean, again, like I said, once I got to the level, buy the bow, get the quiver, just get the best coat you can, and then just fill out the resistances and wherever you can, and then get the movement speed, and then that's it. That's all you do. You just fill out the resistances. I feel like I just rambled on about just needing to build up your resistances. I mean, I just cannot stress that enough. Like, okay, so I'm not gonna go through a run. This is a 4-floor run, and I definitely am not gonna be able to beat this. I don't think, at least, and I don't have another one. So, but I have not changed my relics at all since I have beat the 3rd trial. So I want to show you guys exactly what I had. Okay, this was locked previously. These empty nodes were previously locked. Okay, so this is what I had. The 18% honor resistance, 15% increased honor restored, 34% honor resistance, 24% increased maximum honor, 10% honor resistance, 18% increase in maximum honor, 6% increased movement speed. So with my boots and this, 36% increased movement speed, 14% honor resistance, and then the merchant has 2 additional choices and 7% reduced merchant prices. Okay, these are the relics, and this was a lot of trial and error. I tried the reduced boss damage, the increased boss damage. I tried the restore sacred water or honor on the shrine. I tried it all. Okay, and by far, what you have to do first is max out your honor resistance at 75%. Okay, you got to do that, or as close to it as you can. 18, 34, 52, that's right, plus 10, 62, plus 14 is 76. So I went 1% over. Mwah, no big deal. We're good. Okay, and then you want to increase your maximum honor. Okay, I personally, like, my class doesn't have a lot of mana and health, so you're not going to have that much. So if I didn't have this 24% increase in maximum honor and 18% increase in maximum honor for 42% increase in maximum honor, I only had like 1600. With this, I think it was like 22 or 2300. Okay, so these things are key. These 3 things are key. The movement speed was just kind of a bonus. It is by far the 3rd best thing. Okay, but this right here, the merchant has 2 additional choices and 7% reduced merchant prices is absolutely busted, broken, amazing. I don't know how much higher the reduced merchant prices can be, but good Lord, the 2 additional charges, good Lord, okay. I mean, I had that run where I won, I probably had like 13 boons on me, okay? I mean, I had reduced merchant prices reduced by 50% twice, increased defenses by 50%. I did 50% more damage. Monsters had 30% less more health. The amount of options and boons you can get is just so good with this. It allows you to not have to rely on the map, okay? So, to get your boons. So you can just try to go for Sacred Water with no boons and just try to avoid and maybe restore honor where you need it, but you can avoid those tricky nodes that you might go for to get a boon and risk a minor affliction. Sometimes you get a really shitty minor affliction for your build. This really, really helps you, okay? And then if for whatever reason you have like a bunch of god rolls on your relics and you're like, Chris, I don't need move speed, I have the merchant has 2 additional choices, I have another relic spot, what should I do in my relic spot? I would say choose a relic that you can see the map further, okay? Seeing the map further and then also pairing with the merchant has 2 additional choices is you can essentially plan your entire run. And if you can just avoid all those really nasty negative debuffs, it makes it so much easier. You avoid all those nasty rooms. You get to the merchant at the end and you just get all those really, really good boons with the 2 additional choices. Because I don't know about, I noticed that with this, not only did I get 2 more additional choices, it just seemed to me that overall all the choices I got were better. Before I got this, sometimes I would go to the merchant and I don't know, I just felt like I saw some pretty shitty choices. But when you get those 2 additional choices, man, just things really, really work in your favor. Like the run I had where I won, I got a boon, I bought it, it said, the next boon you buy, minor boon, turns into a major boon. So I bought some little cheap ass like honor restores, or like honor restore or some shit like that. It was the cheapest one in the shop, and it turned into a major boon that I saw the whole map. That's all the entire trial. So the entire 3rd trial, I planned it all out, all the way out to the final boss. I didn't have any issues. I chose the easiest things. I didn't get any negative boons all the way up, and it was perfect. So all right, guys. Well, those were all my tips. And I know this was kind of a long video, but I just like to get as much information as I can out there to you guys. And I'm not really able to do like a shit ton of videos. I kind of have to, do what I can. So yeah, but if you like the video, don't forget to hit that like button. You made it through, probably like a 20 or 30 minute video. I don't know how long this is going to be after I edit it down. And, hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss any more videos coming on this channel.